We live in a very stereotypical world, and you don't need to start big. Social media has made the world a global village. Put yourself out there to stop hoarding your gift. The world is actually looking for people like you.
Meet Mina Obeten, a lawyer and a media personality, born in Calabar into a family of 7, where she's the only girl. Mina loves connecting with people and traveling.
My name is Mina Obeten. It used to be a Tambi. I come from a slightly polygamous family of 7. I'm an only girl child of my mother, and I grew up in the cosmopolitan city of Calabar, a beautiful city in Nigeria, where I did my primary, secondary, and tertiary education. I schooled in the University of Calabar, where I also studied law in university. I love to connect with people. I think my whole life is about connections, is about communicating, is about being present in the lives of the people around me. So I'm surrounded by many friends, I'm surrounded by family. I just like people around. I love to travel. I love to travel. I love to see the world for myself. I think that's one of the things that also influenced the path that I'm currently in. Growing up, I always wanted to be a media girl. I told you I love to connect with people, right? I always wanted to be in the spotlight, and so I remember telling my mom when I was quite little that I wanted to be a celebrity when I grew up. And staying in a place like Calabar, it didn't give you much option. So you had to do more with less. Right. And but I guess my environment shaped the woman that I have become and the person that I am, today. As an only girl child who grew up in a family where my dad was a lawyer, or my dad is a lawyer, and my mom is a nurse, everybody just wanted me to do a professional, go to a professional line or do a professional course. But yeah, I've always wanted to be that girl in the spotlight. So, being professional was off the charts for me. And I'm here now.
Growing up, she's always wanted to be a lawyer, but this was influenced by her family on the emphasis on professional courses. However, she eventually merged her passion for law with other areas of interest, and this has made her to become the woman she is today.
Growing up, everybody wanted to be, all my friends wanted to be doctors, lawyers, At some point, I didn't even know what I wanted to be. I was confused as hell. And when it was time for me to get into the university, I remember going with my mom to pick a JAM form, and my mom was like, "Feel law." And I'm like, "But I don't want to do law." And she says, "But you have to do something professional." My dad is a lawyer, my elder brother is a lawyer. So my mom just thought anything that wasn't professional wasn't it at the time. And I just felt this is not me. But in honoring my parent, in honoring my mom and my dad as well, I had to do law. So law is not something that I chose for myself. It's a path that was influenced by my parents, right? And at some point, I just thought to myself, maybe I can actually make do with, what I have, Most people study law and then throw the degree at some point because it's not what they actually wanted to do. But for me, it was different because I couldn't imagine doing 7 years studying a course and not, somehow doing something in relation to what I studied. So I found a way to merge it with my other passion areas like media and other things that I love to do, in the media and the comm space. So I'm a fun person. I'm interesting. I came in here and I've been smiling since because that's my natural personality. And law was too serious for me. And for people like me who were trying to fit into a profession that felt off it for me, I thought to create a space where people who were like me, who were as interesting as me, who loved exciting things, could understand the law in an exciting way. So for me, I wanted to solve the complexities of the legal industry or the legal ecosystem in a simpler way, in a way that people can understand, whether or not you're a lawyer, in an entertaining way as well. And so if you check my platform, the platform that I created from merging law and media, I do a lot of things that are interesting for people, right? I talk about law in an interesting way. I talk about rights, human rights in an interesting way that anybody would want to listen. And sometimes I even infuse Nigerian pidgin just so it makes it relatable to our audience. So for me, I try to solve the problem of breaking law into simpler terms for people, the masses, not just lawyers, but people who are non-lawyers. So that is the basic problem, or that's the basic solution I really wanted to give to the world.
Mina faces challenges in the legal space and aims to simplify complex legal terms for the layman in a fun way. Initially, as a challenge, she struggled with her environment and finding the right people until doors were open. And currently, as a woman entrepreneur, she faces challenges with funding and scaling up her business in M&H Consult. But over time, things are becoming easier.
So initially, I used to think my environment was a challenge for me because, like I said, I grew up in Calabar where there's not so much, and I started my brand in Calabar. And if you've ever been to Calabar, if you know anyone who stays in Calabar, they would always tell you that it is a non-progressive city. It's like you're living in a box, in a bubble, and for you to really come to the full expression of who you are, you need to leave that bubble. So initially, my major limitation was my environment, not getting access to the right people I needed to see what I was doing. Because it's one thing for you to be solving a problem, it's another thing for, that solution to be visible to the world. So for me, I was struggling to get visible, and that was my major limitation at the time. But leaving Calabar and, leaving my comfort zone, what I have always known, to Abuja, it was, I would say, a breakthrough for me and my brand, but my environment was the major factor at the time. And then secondly, I run a legal tech brand. And one of the things I want to say is that there's not much funding for people like me. People whose paths rather are unconventional paths, people who are not in traditional paths, right? People who are not in the regular paths. Those are not things many people want to invest in. So funding was like a problem for me to scale up what I was already doing. At some point, I remember that I wanted to start, build an app. We wanted to build an app from eLawyer, a community app. And we're pitching, trying to look for angel investors, trying to look for equity partners. And at the time, it was such a hassle, for us. Till now, and it's still a hassle for us. So funding to scale up the work we're already doing and, my environment at the time were the limiting factors, but I guess we'll find a way around it, eventually. So M&H Consult is actually Mina and Hope Consulting. My husband's name is Hope and my name is Mina, and we're both in the media space. And so at some point, in our journey, both of us, we thought, okay, let's bring what we both know, let's bring our networks together, and build a brand from what we're already doing. And so we started M&H Consult to solve the issue of branding, personal branding for individuals, for corporate organizations. So it's a PR brand that is focused on personal branding. We're also focused on comms, building the internal comms structure for organizations and individuals alike. So it's basically a PR and a comms brand that was formed by two people who are passionate about the media and comms industry.
Mina has a branding and media expertise. She believes that storytelling is a crucial branding element and emphasizes the importance of authenticity in social media presence. With experience in managing high-profile media campaigns, she advises that finding your identity and communicating effectively with your audience to craft a strong public image is important.
So the first strategy to running a successful brand, I would say it's the fulcrum of branding, is storytelling. And I always tell people, without a story, you cannot sell anything. people are looking for stories that resonate with them. People are looking for stories that they can relate to, right? So storytelling is the fulcrum of branding. And we live in a digital era. We live in a digital, We're in a digital evolution. The world is going, digital. So people need to brand themselves on the digital space, right? So social presence is one of the critical aspects of branding as well. You need to be out there. And whatever brand you're putting out there has to be authentic, has to be something that, people can relate to, like I said. And then the last thing is your brand needs to have a personality. It needs to have a voice. It needs to have a tone, right? When I see an image, when I see a color, I should know that this color represents this brand. When I hear you speak somewhere, when I see, the way you appear, I should know that this is this person's brand. So I'll give you examples. For instance, if someone comes in here with red, and I'm talking about personal branding now because that's the bulk of what I do. Someone comes in here with a red cap and a white agbada, I would most likely, even without seeing the face, I would most likely think, oh, that's Debola, because that is Debola's personal brand, right? So we try to create personalities that are unique to the brands we're working with, from the tone to the story we're telling, to how you look, your physical presence and your social presence. So those are some of the elements, of branding, of a good brand as well. Find yourself. That's what I tell all my clients. If you want to create a good public image, you need to find yourself first and communicate yourself to people in a way that they can relate with you, right? If I'm relating with a Funke Akindele brand, for instance, what comes to mind is excitement, entertainment. She likes dancing. So those are some of the things that makes her brand very unique, right? So I think most of the time we want very voluminous answers, but the truth is most of these things are very simple things. So once you find yourself, find your voice, you found your brand, and that is authentic and unique to you. Nobody can take your uniqueness from you. It's who you are.
Mina's role model is Oprah Winfrey, who rose to success from humble beginnings, and she advises young women to create their own opportunities and find clarity, own their stories, and tell them uniquely. Mina is a shining example of strength, poise, and confidence.
So my role model has always been Oprah for the longest time. Oprah came from nothing and made something out of nothing. And when I think of the story of Oprah, I think of myself, because I come from a very average Nigerian family. My both parents were civil servants. Nobody gave me money to start anything. I started working at the age of 14. And it's just been me struggling and just trying to find myself in this world. And every time I think of Oprah, I see a woman who was rejected severally on several platforms, a woman who created her own table. And that is what I am trying to do, right? Create my own tables where I can bring in other women who are doing fantastic in their spaces to also grow and thrive. And with the life of Oprah, you can see how many people she has empowered, And I always tell people that legacy is not about you. Legacy is about other people, what you leave in the lives of other people. Legacy is me smiling with you and you remembering that, when this person was here, this person smiled at me, right? So legacy is every trace of you that you leave in the hearts of people. And that is what Oprah has been able to do. Oprah is one person who has inspired millions around the world. She has a school currently that has trained and graduated thousands of young girls from underprivileged communities, and I think that's someone who really inspires me and inspires the woman I hope to become. My vision for the future, 5 years from now, is to create tables for women. So every time we hear, we need to give women seats at the table, I don't believe in a seat at the table. I believe in creating your own tables. I believe in crafting our own, authentic tables, unique tables, and breaking and dismantling patriarchal structures. That is what I believe in. And so I want to create room for women who are like me, who are trying to find themselves, who are currently in that place where they are confused about their future trajectory, or they're in a career path where, they're trying to figure out things for themselves. I want to create a platform where women can come and find themselves, where women can find clarity on whatever path they're on. And I've already started that. I currently run a community of over 2,000 women, and we host a vision boarding event every year. And we've done this for five years. Yes, we've been consistent for 5 years. January of every year, we host vision boarding events across different cities. I'm talking Calabar, I'm talking Lagos, I'm talking Abuja, and we have hundreds of women come out for this event. So for me, that is changing the world already. That is making a step towards the future that I imagine, and that's just enough for me. So my advice to younger women would be, own your story and tell it in the most unique and in the most authentic way you can, right? Don't let anybody take that away from you. Recently, I spoke at a TEDx event, and a guy stood up to say, women are always coming out to project their weaknesses. They're always talking about their weaknesses. And I raised my hand up at that event to give a rebuttal to what he said. And my answer was, what makes us, I think what our superpower is as women is our story, is our struggle. And the fact that we can talk about it shows a lot of strength, shows a lot of courage, because women go through a lot. So do not let anybody take your story from you. Own it, tell it in the best possible way that you can, and be yourself while at it. Don't try to fit into, those boxes that society has crafted for women. We live in a very stereotypical world. But if you can stand out, if you can be yourself, and if you can shine your light in every space you find yourself, the sky will be your starting point. And you don't need to start big. If you are looking to start something, or if you have a vision that is yet to materialize, I always advise women to start from where you are. Social media has made the world a global village. Put yourself out there. Let the world hear your voice. The world is looking to hear you. So stop hoarding your gift. Stop holding back. Stop thinking to yourself that, would people actually accept me for who I am? The world is actually looking for people like you. So come out, tell your story, own that story, and, greatness is going to be nothing for you. It's going to be so easy for you to achieve success or your success goals.